All right, let's dive in today, going deep into the life of, well, David Beckham.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows him, right? Global icon, football legend, Mr. Victoria Beckham.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you'll be surprised. There's a lot more to him than you might realize. So, from Manchester United to Real Madrid.
Right.
We're going to cover it all.
Okay.
Those amazing bending free kicks, that whole boot incident, even the story behind the nickname, Golden Balls. But
Sure.
first, let's start at the beginning.
Yeah. What I find really interesting about Beckham is that he's not just a great footballer. He's become this massive global brand, a cultural icon.
Yeah.
Someone who really changed the game, both on and off the field.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we're going to be exploring not just his trophies, but what they actually represent in the bigger picture.
Right, because there's always a lot more to the story.
Exactly.
Okay, so his journey starts at Manchester United. He makes his debut at 17.
Wow.
Can you imagine that pressure? 17 years old. And then, boom, the awards start coming in. 6 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, and then, of course, the Champions League in 1999.
Oh, that 1999 Champions League win, that was a defining moment for Manchester United. And Beckham was a crucial part of that legendary team. I mean, this wasn't just any team, it was a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't forget that incredible goal from the halfway line against Wimbledon back in 1996.
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of moment that turns a good player into a legend.
That goal was, like, viral before viral was even a thing.
Yeah.
Talk about a highlight reel. And I read he wore that iconic number 7 shirt. You know, that shirt was previously worn by guys like George Best and Eric Cantona. That's a pretty heavy legacy to carry.
Oh, for sure. At Manchester United, that number 7 shirt, it's more than just a number. It represents, brilliance, leadership, a certain swagger, which I think Beckham definitely had, as like inheriting a crown,
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
He wore it well. But then 2003, kind of a seismic shift. He moves to Real Madrid. And this is during their Galacticos era, which, for anyone who doesn't know, meant they were basically collecting the best players in the world. I mean, Zidane, Ronaldo Nazario, Luis Figo, Roberto Carlos.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a football fantasy team come to life.
It's a trend you see even today. Clubs using star power to reach a global audience. And Beckham was a pioneer in that. I mean, Real Madrid's plan was clear. Dominate on the field and conquer the world off it. And Beckham, with his talent and charisma, fit perfectly into that vision.
And it was a smart marketing move, choosing to wear the number 23 shirt, a nod to basketball icon Michael Jordan. It's that kind of crossover that speaks volumes about his brand awareness.
Absolutely. He understood his influence went beyond just football. It showed he was savvy, a global icon connecting with audiences outside the sport.
Yeah, but the Galacticos era, it was a bit of a roller coaster ride,
Yeah.
right? It wasn't just about the superstar players. There were the constant managerial changes and the pressure to win.
Yeah, that revolving door of managers definitely caused instability. I mean, it's hard to build consistency when leadership is always changing. Beckham's playing time, it fluctuated under different coaches. And there were controversial moments too. Like, he even received a yellow card on purpose in an England match to serve a suspension he knew was coming anyway because of injury.
Wow, strategic.
Yeah.
But even with all those ups and downs, he finishes at Real Madrid with a La Liga title in his final season. Going out on a high note?
That's right. Even though he was actually injured during that final match, it really capped off a chapter filled with challenges, but ultimately success. It's a testament to his resilience and ability to adapt to a really demanding environment.
Yeah, and then he makes a pretty bold move.
Huh.
He goes across the Atlantic to join the LA Galaxy.
Right.
Huge moment for Major League Soccer, and he said he wasn't coming to America to be a superstar, but to really try to elevate the sport.
His arrival in the U.S., it was a watershed moment. It generated so much excitement, and his mission was clear, popularize, the beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember, this was before the MLS had achieved the level of popularity it has today.
Oh my.
Beckham saw an opportunity to grow the sport, and he was very committed to that goal.
And that debut, what a spectacle. Even Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes were there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The media attention was intense. It was like Hollywood had come to watch football. Mm. But what's interesting is the TV ratings. They weren't as high as expected.
Yeah.
It showed that breaking into the American sports market, even for someone like Beckham, was a massive challenge.
Yeah, I mean, football was up against, baseball, basketball, American football, these really established American sports.
Right.
But he wasn't just playing for the Galaxy. He also went on loan spells to AC Milan. And that actually stirred up some controversy among Galaxy fans.
Yeah, there were definitely mixed reactions. Some fans were thrilled to have him back, but others felt like he was a part-time player, not fully committed to the Galaxy. It raised questions about his priorities and whether he was truly dedicated to building the sport in the U.S.
It's interesting how his decision to, play in other leagues while with the Galaxy kind of sparked this whole debate about player commitment and loyalty to a team, especially in a country where football was still trying to break into the mainstream.
Yeah, it highlighted the cultural differences, in how football is perceived in Europe versus the U.S.
Yeah.
For European fans, loan spells are just a common part of player development, but for some American fans, it felt like a betrayal. Beckham's time with the L.A. Galaxy, it was a complex period for sure, marked by both, successes and controversies.
This definitely adds another layer to his story. But before we get into his time as England captain, which is the whole other chapter, I wanted to talk about his charitable work. I mean, he donated his entire salary while playing for Paris Saint-Germain to a local children's charity.
That's incredibly generous. It shows a side of Beckham that goes beyond the glitz and glamour. He consistently uses his platform to give back, and his commitment to philanthropy is truly admirable.
It's a great example of how he leverages his fame for good. But speaking of a different kind of pressure, let's move on to his time as captain of the England national team.
Okay.
That is a whole other chapter, filled with some incredible highs and lows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Beckham as England captain, that's a story filled with drama, passion, and those iconic moments that define a nation's love for the game. He captained the team for an incredible 59 matches out of his 115 total appearances for England. It speaks to his leadership and the trust that his country had in him.
But it wasn't always a smooth journey. Back in '98 at the World Cup, he faced a lot of criticism for, some people thought he wasn't focused enough on the tournament, almost like he was more concerned with his growing fame than with the game itself.
It was a difficult period for him, especially with the intense media scrutiny, but, even facing adversity, he showed his resilience. He kind of redeemed himself with that stunning free kick goal. It's a reminder to everyone why he was wearing that England shirt.
Yeah, that goal definitely silenced some critics. And then Euro 2000 came around, and things got a little heated again. Remember that controversial gesture he made towards the fans?
Yeah, it was a moment of frustration. A raw display of emotion that really divided public opinion. You could see the immense pressure he was under as captain, carrying the weight of a nation's expectations. And that incident, it really highlighted the fine line between hero and villain in professional sports.
Yeah, and the media really jumped on that too. But then, just when you thought he might be down and out, he delivered one of those moments of pure magic. 2002 World Cup qualifier against Greece. The tension in those final minutes, and then boom. That unbelievable free kick that sent England to the World Cup. I mean, come on.
Pure brilliance, under pressure. It was like he was born for those moments. And that goal, it just cemented his status as a national hero. I mean, it's what earned him the BBC Sports Personality of the Year award in 2001, a true recognition of his talent and his ability to inspire.
Yeah. His World Cup journey was a real roller coaster ride after that. Missed penalties, the heartbreak of defeat, and then he ends up stepping down as captain after the 2006 World Cup.
Yeah, that decision marked the end of an era for sure. He was recalled to the team later on, though, and, achieved something very few players do. He earned his 100th cap, an incredible achievement, and it showed his dedication and longevity at the very highest level.
Yeah, he became England's third most capped player. Quite an achievement. But sadly, his international career didn't end on the pitch. It was due to a really tough Achilles tendon injury, and that sidelined him from the 2010 World Cup.
It's almost poetic in a way, his England career beginning and ending because of injuries. But hey, let's not forget about those incredible highs,
Yeah.
the moments that turned him into an icon. And speaking of icons, where did that Golden Balls nickname even come from? I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, I think we all have. It's one of those nicknames that just stuck.
Well, as it turns out, we can thank Victoria Beckham for that one. During a TV interview, she just casually referred to him as Golden Balls. And just like that, a playful nickname was born.
It's kind of endearing in a way, But, playful nicknames aside, Beckham's been open about his struggles with OCD. He's mentioned needing to have things organized in a specific way, like arranging his fridge, just so.
Yeah, it provides a glimpse into a side of him that a lot of people might not be aware of. His OCD, it's not just a quirk, it's something he manages.
Mm-hmm.
It humanizes him. Shows that even someone who seemingly has it all still faces, personal challenges.
It's a reminder that everyone's got their own battles, no matter their fame or fortune. But speaking of a high-profile life, we can't talk about Beckham without mentioning his marriage to Victoria Beckham, a.k.a. Posh Spice.
Right.
Talk about a power couple living under constant media scrutiny.
Their relationship has been, a constant fixture in the tabloids. They've weathered scandals and rumors, but despite all that, they've managed to raise a family and have a successful marriage.
It shows their commitment to each other and their ability to handle the pressures of fame, the noise. But Beckham's story doesn't end with his retirement, He's a businessman, a global ambassador, a dedicated philanthropist.
Yeah, after he hung up his boots, he could have easily just, lived a life of leisure, but he didn't. He pursued all sorts of interests. He co-owns Inter Miami CF and Salford City. His passion for football is still there.
And he's become, a big name in fashion, philanthropy. He even launched his own brand of whiskey. He's not afraid to step outside his comfort zone and explore new things.
It's that constant drive, that ambition that makes him so compelling. He's not content just resting. He's always looking for the next challenge.
His post-retirement career is almost as fascinating as his time on the pitch. But as we wrap up this deep dive into David Beckham, it's worth thinking about what his journey really represents.
Yeah, it's a story of talent, ambition, and how to handle the tricky world of fame. Beckham's legacy goes beyond just the goals and the trophies. He's a cultural icon who's inspired millions around the world.
He's a testament to hard work, dedication and that ability to reinvent yourself. But it's also a story about the pressures that come with celebrity, that constant scrutiny of being in the public eye.
Beckham's career really makes you think about the cost of fame and how you navigate being a public figure while staying true to yourself.
Yeah, it's a question that continues to be relevant today as we watch current athletes face similar challenges. So after taking this deep dive, how should we remember David Beckham? Was he just a supremely talented footballer who happened to be incredibly famous, or was he something more?
Yeah, it really makes you think. I mean, he was definitely talented, right? Those bending free kicks, the precision passes.
Mm-hmm.
And who could forget that goal from the halfway line? But was he more than just his skills on the pitch? Well, there's no denying his talent as a footballer, but I think his impact goes way beyond the game itself.
Right.
He really understood the power of his image. And he used that to build a brand that went beyond just, football. Look at his fashion sense, his business ventures, his charity work. He's really good at self-promotion and reinvention.
He wasn't just playing football, he was changing the whole game. Do you think his global fame actually helped or maybe hindered his football career? It's kind of a chicken or the egg thing, isn't it?
It's definitely a complicated relationship. I mean, his celebrity brought a lot of attention to the sport, especially in places where football wasn't that popular.
Yeah.
Remember his time in L.A.? He brought Hollywood to the MLS.
Yeah.
But then, did that media scrutiny ever overshadow what he did on the field? It's an interesting question.
It's like there were two Beckhams, the footballer and the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
And it sometimes felt like they were competing with each other. But even with all those distractions, I mean, you could see his dedication to the sport.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about his, strict training regime, his commitment to staying in top form, even when he was facing those challenges at Real Madrid.
Yeah, his work ethic was undeniable.
Yeah.
But it's also true that the media often focused more on his life off the field.
Yeah.
His family, his fashion choices, the whole Golden Balls nickname.
Right.
Did that make people think he was more style than substance?
Mm-hmm.
That's something to think about.
It makes you wonder how he handled all that pressure. Always being in the spotlight, every move analyzed. Must have been exhausting.
I think he handled it pretty well. He kind of embraced his role as a global icon, but he never lost his love for football.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, he achieved a level of success that very few footballers ever reach.
That's true. 6 Premier League titles, a Champions League trophy, captaining his national team.
Wow.
That's a pretty amazing legacy. And even after retiring, I mean, he hasn't slowed down.
No.
Still involved in the sport, still inspiring young players.
His impact is huge, He really helped elevate football, not just in how popular it is, but in its cultural significance.
Right.
He showed everyone that a footballer could be more than just an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
They could be a global brand,
Yep.
a fashion icon, a philanthropist.
He really did pave the way for guys like Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, who've kind of followed in his footsteps, building these empires that go beyond the football pitch. It's really interesting to see how his influence still shapes the sports world today.
He was a true pioneer, a trailblazer. And his story's still unfolding. He's a businessman, a family man, a real symbol of ambition and reinvention. David Beckham is more than just a name. He's a phenomenon.
Well said. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of David Beckham. It's been quite a journey. The triumphs, the controversy, and ultimately a lasting legacy. We hope you enjoyed exploring all the different sides of his story with us.
Yeah, he's someone who definitely sparks a lot of debate,
Yeah.
admiration and reflection. What will his legacy be? That's for you to decide.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep driving deeper into the stories that shape our world.